Alright, what's going on, guys? So I've got a fun little trunk here, or hatch, whatever you want to call it. It's probably a hatch, not a trunk. But it does lead into the trunk of the Tesla. Alright, so we're doing this Tesla white over white. It's very basic, nothing fancy about it. The customer does like white, and they wanted to keep their car white. So in order to keep their car white and maintain an original paint, he decided to have it wrapped in white, just something a little bit different. This has a nice metallic flake in it, and I'll kind of show you that afterwards. This is a super thick material, all right, so it's very difficult to use. It takes a lot of heat soak, so you have to soak the film with quite a bit of heat in order to get it to start to move, and yeah, it's a little more challenging. So with this hatch, it runs all the way up to the roof, and I see a lot of installers seaming this hatch right along the edge. All right, there is a spoiler that goes right here, and it's kind of like a way to cheat and get around things. You can seam it all the way through and it looks fine until we get to the edge. On the edge, we run out of a body line, and it starts to flow all in together right here. So that's what I want to explain. It would be totally fine if this body line ran all the way through, but because the body line doesn't run all the way through, it stops about 2.5 to 3 inches shy of the edge, that you start to see the seam really noticeably right around there. Now the spoiler that does go here covers up most of it, so it only exposes about 1 inch, but again, that's not the right way to do it. So we can do this piece in one piece. So I've cut this piece at 60 inches wide, 60 inches long, so this is about a 5x5 right here. Some you'll find are a little bit larger than a 5x5, but for the most part, these like the Toyota Supra has a very similar hatch, and that one that I just did with Jeremy, I wrap it up there. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to cut this at all. The reason being is that there is a chance that the blade will dust the backing paper, and when you dust the backing paper, what I mean by that is that it's going to cause the backing paper to fray and leave little tiny bits that could potentially get stuck to the underside of the film. We don't want that. So I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm going to take my loss of an extra couple of feet of film that I could save in the middle for like door handles or mirrors. This car doesn't have any door handles to wrap, so which is great. So that was just kind of moving over there. I just wanted to fix it, and I'm actually should stick another magnet down on it. Give me 1 second. So what I noticed is that not one magnet works on a gecko patch, but 2, because it kind of slides a little bit. So I have a gecko patch on the other side. 2 is the best way to go. All right. So we're just gonna gently remove all of this backing paper, and then once I get the backing paper off, then we can cut out the excess. And I'll explain why you want to do that, all right? Alright, so I got that out of the way. Now, on top of that, this film has a protective cap. So not only is it thick already, it's even thicker with this cap on it. So you have to remove this cap, otherwise you won't be able to bend the film if you try to contour this around the trunk. Alright, so if we take note right here, right now, what looks like here is we have a ton of slack. We can't just squeegee the top and then hope to God we can stretch all this down. It's not going to happen. If our trunk tapered out like this, okay, maybe that would be a little bit easier. But the fact that it bends down 90 degrees is going to be next to impossible. On top of that, it contours around the vehicle. So that's going to make it even more impossible to take all this slack and stretch it down. Don't do that. You're going to end up with a lot of problems. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to find the edge, which is right about there and right about there. And I'm going to cut out a good centerpiece of this film. Now I'm not going to come right to the edge because I'm going to be stretching the film across through this section here. So this will change. So what I want to do is I want to leave myself several inches This film is so thick that even a blade doesn't want to cut it. It actually cuts it fine. It's just how I didn't have it good. So the reason being why we want to remove some of this is that we have now less film to heat and stretch. We can focus our heat and stretch in just this area as opposed to all this. If I left all this here, what would happen is I would have to heat and stretch this over here in order to and heat and stretch this over here in order to bring the whole thing across. Now by eliminating this section right here, what I can do is I can heat and stretch just that lower section and not even worry about the top at all. So what we want to do is start on one side. Always make sure when you're doing a trunk like this that you clean your window, okay? You're gonna pick up contaminants off the window if you don't clean the window. It's for sure gonna happen, so just remember to clean the window. So it's an aggressive tack. It's not easy. This is not an easy film to use. And I particularly hate it, so I do not like this film. What's that? Yeah, it's vivid gloss diamond white or whatever they call it. It's white sparkle or something. Anyways, it's so thick, guys. It's just not. It's not a pleasure. It's really hard. And at a beginner level, or even someone who's only wrapped maybe a couple of cars, this is going to be a nightmare. So don't do it. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this back, just so I don't have it flopping around so much. What I could have done is I could have left some backing paper on it. Sure, I'm not worried about picking up any contaminants right now. It'll be fine. So again, this has a high initial tack and it's very thick. This is gonna take a ton of heat to get it moving. Again, all of our stretch is gonna have to come across the tension line, which is right here where that trunk starts to bend. All right, I'm just gonna heat it. I gotta heat it a lot. And just to be fair, I'm gonna say don't use this film unless you have a lot of experience or have people to help you. Let's put that over there. So as we can see, we're starting to accomplish what we need to be accomplishing. We need to be drawing all of this across and putting most of the tension through here to the edge, but not adding tension on the edge, all right? No tension on the actual edge. We're drawing all the tension through here. This is our tension line right here. This is where, when I pull, I'm hitting it with the film, and I'm making sure that we're not getting any wrinkles on that edge the entire time that I'm pulling the film across, all right? So again, I have to do this again. This is not done yet. So what I wanna do is I wanna hinge it. Probably not going to hold because it's tacky, but not really when it's cold. So it can move quite a bit, and then the air release works great, even especially when it's cold. So again, if you're just joining this right now, why wrap your car in a color that's like your car? Because you like white and you want to protect your paint. And to PPF a whole car, we're probably looking at like anywhere from $4,000 to $6,000. This on a Tesla white over white can cost $2,500 to $3,500 or even less, depending on who you go to. So I won't tell you what I charge, but yes, somewhere around there, guys. So depending on your skill level, your experience and that kind of stuff, you'll charge appropriately. So this trunk is actually difficult to do, even with a regular film, like not a regular film, but let's just say like a regular film being like a gloss white or a regular gloss white or a gloss black or anything like that. It'd be easier. It'd be easier, but it's still challenging. So I have to bring it through a little bit more. Probably pretty happy with that. So watch this, right? Watch what's gonna happen. if you've been paying attention to me in the past, we all know that when we heat and stretch, we have to shrink it back, okay? So let me lock it in right along here. And I'm gonna alleviate this right there. Now watch, I'm gonna hold it and I'm just gonna keep it glass. Now look, I'm gonna keep it glass. What I wanna do is I just wanna place it down. So it all shrunk. Now, if we don't keep it in a glass state as we heat it, then we're just gonna get wrinkles and we can't squeegee over the wrinkles, okay? But look, I'm not pulling down. I'm gonna pull against this to glass it out, but that's it, okay? So now, when I get down to this edge right here where I'm gonna be tucking in all the film, we have no tension, zero tension. Again, watch. When we cut off, okay, and watch. See? It's getting a little bound up on the light, that's okay. I just want to keep it glassed. And you can see how when I squeegee, I cut across. Now these are too big of wrinkles to squeegee. We need to heat them and let them smooth themselves out, all right? Again, over here, let's see what happens. Look, see, I'm heating it, but I'm not pulling, right? So that's me, that's that film completely relaxed right now. All I gotta do is pull down so lightly. Look, 2 fingers, right? I'm not pulling hard. A little wrinkle there, we'll just push extra firm on top of it and it's out, okay? I'm getting here. Now I'm pulling the opposite direction this way so that I can keep these away. Sometimes it's better to use your finger or your thumb to go over the really fine wrinkles, the ones that are really thin, and get them out. Just because if you can apply more pressure to them, they tend to just go away when you apply pressure to them. So again, so what I need to do here is we need to fix this up a little bit right here, and then we can start working on the other side. So because I've stretched across, what I need to do right here is just pop that up a little bit and even it out. I don't want to heat too much where my hand is, but I need to keep this glass. See? So as we just heat it, I'm not adding a lot of stress to the film. I'm just holding it. And as we heat it, it tends to lock air in a little bit more aggressively. So we have to sometimes push down on them with our fingers just to keep the bubbles away. So there, right there, now we're coming down to the edge. So for here, what I can do is see what this does. We have no contaminants under the wrap, guys, nothing, even though I played around with it. That's because I cleaned very thoroughly. So I don't have a lot of pullback right now. There's not a lot of tension, we can see that. I'm gonna draw this out just a tad, and then I'm gonna hit it with the squeegee. Okay. If you've seen enough, that's generally how you've done it, how we do it. You can leave now if you want to, or you can stay and watch the rest of this because I've got my wife here and we're gonna do some up close and personal cutting, trimming, and squeegeeing. So again, like I said, we need to heat this film to move it. So you'll notice that I'll use heat quite often. It's just to help me get through this. All right, so what I want to do is make sure that we don't have any pullback. I don't see any. We had a little bit, but not much. Plus we're gonna wrap around the edge anyway, so no big deal. Alright, let's move on to the other side. So I'm kind of contemplating if I should even bother with this right now. It might get messed up. I'm just gonna wait, you know what, let's wait to the other side. Because as soon as I move the other side, I might end up pulling it back a little bit further, and that might make that all funny again anyway. So I'm just gonna say forget it, I'll do it after. Alright. It's not really that sticky actually, it just sounds loud. But that's not sticking very hard. Okay. Same deal. This is the awkward way for me, alright? So I'm gonna get this off. I hate pulling this side. It's like doing the front bumper or the rear bumper even. I just don't like pulling in this direction. I like to have my more dominant hand on the bottom. And I'm right-handed, so my right hand's on the top right now. It's because the bottom tends to need a little bit more work. And having your more dominant hand on the bottom makes a little bit more sense. So like I said, as far as challenging goes, this is some of the hardest film I've worked with. Now let's find that line. We have to get this wrinkle out of the way. So we have to, see that edge right there? There we go. We have to get this section taken care of, okay? Now I can stop if I want to. I can iron some of this out while I still have the vinyl up. I'm gonna push down on those because they're very kind of sharp wrinkles. And just kind of get them out of the way. All right. Now, perfect. I'm gonna grab the heat gun again. And because I've stretched all this, what I want to do is shrink it. Now, I was pulling firmly, but now I'm not. I'm just letting it come down. So, I think the monkey strips leave like dust almost, because this had a protective cap on it, and I noticed that when I squeegee, I'm still getting like dust somehow, and I literally just removed the cap before I wrapped this, so I'm not sure what's happening. I think it's coming from the buffer itself, so if you notice that, no big deal. I don't think it's actual dust. They're still my favorite buffers. It's fine. All right, so again, emphasis on the tension line. Look where my hand is. Look, I'm pulling a little bit closer to that tension line. My hand's higher, it's not lower, it's not down here, because it just makes sense for me to get a good pull across this line so that I'm not getting any wrinkles that run vertically on this line. I need them to be off the line. So like this is fine, it's kind of just underneath the line. And I can just pull it down because this runs across. If I have a wrinkle that runs vertical, that means I can't pull down and get rid of that wrinkle. But these I can pull down and get rid of the wrinkles. Okay. Oh, I got a little wrinkle there, so I'm gonna have to heat it. Just get a little higher than it. There we go. Now let's do the heat shrink. Okay. It's cool when you do this because it kind of moves like lava. Like I see the vinyl move, and it just kind of like, especially with the flake in it, with the sparkles, it moves like really kind of in slow motion. It's awesome. So again, we have zero tension on this line. There is tension, but the tension is pulling this way, not this way. If we have tension pulling this way, what's going to happen? We're going to get fingering and the vinyl is going to lift up. See, it's just hugging itself. As beautiful as that is, that's exactly what you want it to do. Oh, I got a bubble right there. Let's get it out before it gets a little too locked in there. Got it. I'm getting bubbles because I'm using a firm squeegee, so I'm missing some spots. If I use a softer squeegee, which I should be using, which is the green one, which I don't know where to, oh, it's in my back pocket. Then it'll be more thorough. So for beginners, that's why I kind of recommend a softer squeegee. That way you don't miss spots when it comes to squeegeeing, because that'll kind of mess you up in the end. You'll be wondering why you have bubbles in your wrap. All right. Yeah, if you're ever wondering why you have bubbles in your wrap, I can pretty much always guarantee you weren't squeegeeing firm enough. Do not be shy, okay? We're not trying to romance the film. We need to manipulate it. We need to make sure that it's doing what we're telling it to do. You're the boss. So I push firmly when I squeegee. Perfect. So what's going to happen there, since I masked that off, I'm going to trim it all. So just come across. I'm not pushing very hard. Just enough to score the film. And we'll take care of that afterwards. Let's finish off the top. So you can see, because of the way I've pulled the film, this panel has actually shifted in. So look at the vinyl. So it's shifted in, right? As opposed to being straight. That's because I brought all this around the bottom and it shifted everything this way, which is fine. We're gonna shift it back. So I'm going to start locking some of this in, get some of the air out. All right. Bring it a little more over, and then we're pretty much done. So I'm going to take the stretch right from there, because I don't need all this. There's the edge right there. I don't need any of that. Now it's going to allow me to bring over the whole piece. There we go. What's interesting with the film is that you can actually feel the metallic in it. It's so deep, or the particles are so large. Sorry. See, we're just shrinking it down. That's it. I'm just gonna hold it and let it shrink down. So you might have thought that I stretched the hell out of it and I'm gonna have a lot of tension on my edge, but I'm actually not. It all depends on where you take your tension from. Got some air in there. Let's get that out. See? I'm just holding it. Again, here. I'm going to hold it and let it shrink. So just let it shrink and then gently keep it glass. Now, what does glass mean, for those of you who are asking? Because I've said it several times during this video. I probably don't say it very often. It means keeping it smooth. Think smooth like glass, right? Where are we? Just right here. Perfect. So I got a little wrinkle there, so I want to heat it out. It's more of a crease. There we go. So again, it's a fun little trunk to wrap. If you got one of these, now you know how to do it. And I've masked off this entire area. So let's do it. So even though it's the window, I mask it off. I do not ever recommend cutting on any part of the vehicle with a blade. Unless maybe it's like the engine bay or something, or like something that's you don't really care if you get scratched. You can scratch the window with your blade, even if your blade isn't ceramic. That big old piece. Alright, so we're almost done. So what I'm going to do is finish off the bottom section right here. I'll keep the heat gun running just so I can let everything shrink right into this nice little recess. Nice little gap, sorry. Yep, go ahead and restart it. Alright, so I'm just going to do this little gap here. We just had a pause in the video there because it reached its 30-minute mark. So now that I've got this bottom section done, I can cut it away. So again, let's find a spot. Nice secure spot. I'm running my blade on the back side of that chrome piece, and then when I get down to the edge, I take my blade and I draw it off the bottom. Okay, and we can see how everything is safely masked off. So what that allows me to do is now tuck in here a little bit nicer. So I'm going to trim away a little bit more. I put 2 strips of tape on this side because I just want to protect the light. So I want all that shrinking to happen before I do any cut. Got a little fold there, a little wrinkle. I want to get that out. It's going to drive me nuts. Perfect. And let's bust out my little wrap stick, little hockey stick. You know, because we're Canadian, except I've... What's that? Yeah, it's very. This is very Canadian, not German, but it's made in Germany. All right. I suppose the Germans play hockey too. Take your time. I still have to go over all the edges with heat afterwards, so we will do that, don't worry. Don't you worry your pretty little head. All right, let's do this section over here. I'm gonna leave myself a bit extra. I'm cutting on the opposite side, so I'm cutting on the quarter panel side. And for what goes on up here, okay. Let's finish off this little taillight section right here. And then we're going to go over this lower area with our heat gun and our wrap stick and call it a wrap on the bottom section and finish off the top around the window. I feel like the trunk's not sitting flush here, but whatever. I don't know why. So again, if we're doing like orange over green, you might want to take your taillights out just to wrap in that extra 1 or 2 millimeters, all right? There's a couple of air bubbles there. Just because you might see it. I mean, we're doing white over white. I still was thorough. I took out the taillight, as you can see here, to wrap the quarter panel. It's not like I'm not thorough. I just know kind of where to draw the line and how far in. This is a cosmetic change, and as long as we're protecting every edge and everything's wrapped securely, we're good. Again, let's bust out the hockey stick. Okay. It's called a wrap stick flex, and this is a Teflon version. It's actually phenomenal. It's like my favorite thing. For years, I used this little triangle thing, and it did the job, but it's just not as nice as this. So I feel like this trunk should be more flush, because it's going to make my cut not look so pretty. So I'm going to try and make it more flush. All right, it's decent. Push down on it slightly. So look, my blade's not out too far, but at one click out, that first, it's just under the first line. We poke, we glide. And just glide it on down. Done. That cutting is another thing to work on. It's a skill of its own. All right, so I've got to have a little peek under here. So I know that there isn't a gasket in here. So all I can do is push the film down and cut and tuck it in as far in as it will go. Now, if we had a white car and we were covering it with red, you'd kind of want to be a little bit more thorough. I'm going to just get everything flush on the edge here so that it's nice and tight against the window, and then I'm going to cut it in the gap and then just fold it down because it's white. So I'm just using my fingers because it's just easier right now. I bet you've never seen this technique before. It just creates, me using my fingers like this just makes a nicer line, in my opinion. I'm trying to keep it as consistent as possible all the way through. Okay. It's just little stuff like that, you know, use what you were given. Back of the blade on the glass. I'm not cutting into the glass, I'm keeping the back of the blade smooth along the glass, and we're gliding, right? Hang gliding right here. I'm not cutting too deep. You can hear it gently grazing against the edge of the glass, but that's totally fine. We're not cutting into anything. Boom. All right, so now we have one last step to do as far as that goes, which is we need to tuck it in. And like I said, we don't have to go crazy far. So I usually hit it with my fingers first. And then I go over it once I've got it kind of curling down a bit. Then I go over with my squeegee. And this right here, this video, I'm doing this video solely to prove to you that I did wrap this car, because it doesn't look like it's wrapped. And to help you guys out. So you can see how I kind of keep the heat running. Keep it running, but not running away from you. All right, so that's all nicely tucked in there. A little edge there. Get that. There we go. All right, now what I want to do is open her up. And I don't have the key on me, it's hanging up. Let me grab it. Perfect. What we have to do now is obviously go over our work right here. Now, yes, you may want to use a wrap glove. I don't, but just because I say it and don't do it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. I'm just very comfortable with using my bare hands. All right? Can't hear you. All right. My hands are a little bit more callous than yours probably will be. You might have like little gentle baby hands. If you haven't been doing this for a while, you might have construction worker hands. I have no idea. But having some experience doing this, you know, this doesn't bother my hands. The heat doesn't bother my hands. It's also so your hand glides properly. But my hands are also dry as hell because it's winter time and it's Canada and it sucks. So. So we've got to go under the seal slightly, right about here. All right, how's that corner look to you guys right here on the very end? Looks decent? Not focused? You gotta click on the screen. That usually helps. Or try a different angle. No?
No.
So it won't focus. Anyways. Corner's nice. Let's go around the other side, finish it up, and then we're done. All I have left to do on this car is the front bumper and mirror and this piece. This material does kind of suck to seam also because it's so thick. Lift this. No. It's so thick that it seems literally like you're seaming cardboard. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna make the front bumper look nice, but I'm gonna do it. Whenever we're heating, we're always keeping our heat gun moving, all right? You're never leaving it in one spot for more than a couple of seconds. You're never leaving your heat gun in a spot for as long as I left that torch in one spot and burned the Ferrari. Just so you know, I effed that one up. I already know I screwed that one up, guys, so I don't know what you're all getting your panties in a twist for. So obviously I burned it. I didn't burn it on purpose, actually. I was just making a video and didn't pay attention and didn't know that I had to hold it exactly 11.4 millimeters away from the car in order to get a good heat. So, anyways, the whole point of it was that I had to blowtorch the whole car to get the haziness out. There's nothing else to do with me burning it. Yeah, I burned it, whatever. And I thought I'd make fun of it because I'm just like that. I don't care. So. All right, so let's have a look at it once it's all, get those tape off. And we'll kind of talk about what I did. If any of you are still there. So why do I use this tape? Because this is good tape. It rips a little bit, but it doesn't leave any residue behind. You're gonna want a tape that doesn't leave residue behind and removes fairly well. I think this is 3M285. This is, you know what the wrap stick's also good for? Getting stuff like this off. Check this out. I can actually get it without using anything sharp or metal and get that tape off. It's great for like little bits like that. I love it. Cool. It's a little bit more right here. So again, I've got a little bit of tape on the glass. Again, I just run my wrap stick across it, get it going. Perfect. A little bit more right there. Done. All right. So we can try to show you what's going on with the car also while we're here. Yeah, so guys, when we do a trunk like this, now you know how. This is a hatch / trunk, and a little bit more difficult as far as trunks go, just because we have that extra bit on the top. But by cutting this section out here, we really eliminate how much film that we need to actually stretch across, making things a lot easier. Guys, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you guys want to see more about what's going on here, next week we've got Will Motivation coming down again. Now he had his Lamborghini Huracan here. When we wrapped it in satin red chrome, now we're wrapping his Hellcat. He just got a Hellcat. It was a Mustang, now it's a Hellcat, so I'm wrapping a Hellcat. Anyways, it'll be pretty awesome. So stay tuned for that one next week. On top of that, we got like holographic coming up. We got a whole bunch of stuff coming up. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care.